Hello and welcome back to another episode of Arbor's Power BI Connector How-To Guide. This week we're going to be looking at attendance. So as you can see on my screen, last week's episode we finished off looking at characteristics and demographic information. So I've added on some headline data here. I've got year groups down the side, month of birth and ethnicity of students. And I've also added this really cool feature where I've put the students' postcodes and you can actually click on each of the different year groups and see where they live. So that's quite a handy little feature. So this week, as I say, we're going to have a look at attendance data. So I've already imported the roll call attendance table. But first of all, what we're going to do is just a reminder of how to import it. So you can go to Get Data, down to More, search for Snowflake and connect that way. Or you can use the option of Recent Sources and select the snowflakecomputing.com connector at the top here. So I'm going to click on there. I've gone down to Arbor Power BI Connector Production, down to the model tables, and I've then selected roll call attendance. Now there is one, there is a table called lesson attendance, but we're not going to use that one, we're using roll call attendance. And then we're going to click load. So once that's loaded into the table, into Power BI, you should then have another table here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to connect the new roll call attendance to the date table and the student table. So we do that on the left-hand side, we go to the model view, and you can see here I've actually already connected my two tables up. So in the first instance, what we've done is we've connected the student unique ID from the roll call attendance table to the student table. And if we have a look at that, you can see here what I've done is said, well, let's connect the student table, the unique ID, to the students. And it's got this cardinality called many to one. So basically what that means is you have many times the student's unique ID appears in the roll call attendance table. So there is a mark for every morning and afternoon reg, for every day of the week, for every month of the year that your student has been at your school. So for example, a year 11 student would have data going all the way back for every day they were in school back to year 7. But in the students table, they only appear once. So that student only has one row of data with their information. So it's called a many to one. And the cross-filter direction, we're going to set a single so that any information from the students table will filter data on the roll call attendance table. So we're going to click save on that. And there's a very easy just drag and drop option here. So all you do is you drag one, drop it onto the supporting column you want to link it with, and that's how you can create the connection. You can delete them as well. So for example, if I delete this one I've set up with the date table, you can delete them and you can re-add them. So we're going to connect as well the date from the roll call attendance with our date table. So last time we looked at putting in our half terms, our months and our terms. So we want to be able to filter our roll call attendance by those features. So what we're going to do is we're going to link the date to the date table. And you can see again, I've selected the date to the date table. And again, it's a many to one. So you can see here, this date appears 3 times. It will probably appear 1,000 times, but it only appear once on this date table. And again, we're going to have a single filter, cross-filter direction, and we'll click save. So now you can see we've got these lines and we have connected our tables together. Over time, we'll obviously connect more tables like behaviour, detention, suspensions to these two tables over time. So we're going to go back now to the report view, and we're actually going to create a new dashboard, a new page for attendance. There it is. Oh, page 1. Perfect. So what we're going to do now is create a DAX formula that will give us the percentage attendance. If we were to try and extract it now using the information in the table, it's not going to work properly. So if we actually have a look at what data is in the roll call attendance table, you can see we've got lots of unique ID numbers and roll call attendance information. But if we slide across, we can see here the raw mark, what code it means, minutes late, period of the day it's linked to, the date of it. But we also have these columns at the end, which show us if something is present, whether it's an authorised absence, an unauthorised absence, and its possible attendance. So for possible attendance, if you close the school, for example, or it was a holiday, it would say that the possible attendance is false. So these are all true and false columns. We're going to use these columns to create our percentage attendance and our percentage absences as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the report view, and we're going to find our roll call attendance table, and we're going to click on that, and we're going to add in a new measure. So we're going to click on the new measure option, and I have these saved on another document, so if you give me just 1 second. So we're going to put our first one in, and this is going to be to measure our attendance. So it's a calculate function, and what it's going to do is going to count the rows in our roll call attendance table that have a filter of true. So it's looking at the column that's called is present. So is it a present mark, true or false? So we're looking for answers that are true, but we're also looking if attendance was possible that day or not. So obviously if it was false, it wouldn't count it, because if they can't get into school, it's not possible, that would show as false. And then we're going to divide that number by the total amount of roles where attendance is possible. Simple as that. So we're going to hit enter, and that's going to create our absence measure. We're going to drag and drop that onto the screen, and we're going to turn that into a card. Now, at the moment, it's still a decimal number. So we're going to turn that into a percentage. So we're going to click on attendance on our measure, and you can see here there's a percentage button. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to reduce it to 1 decimal place. And you can see it's now created our first card. So that's overall percentage attendance for all the data on our roll call attendance table. Now, obviously, that's looking at all the attendance that exists in this table. It's not filtered down to a particular year group or a particular academic year. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to add a filter. So we're going to go to our date table, and we're going to find the one called academic year. And what we're going to do is we're going to filter this page to a particular academic year. So if we pull that down onto filters on this page, and we can then select 23-24, you can select 24-25, you can select blank years, so years that we haven't actually put in our date table, and we can click on those, and we can see that the data will filter based on those academic years. So that's an easy way to do that bit. We can also then we can copy this data, and we can create a absence attendance filter for one particular group. So for instance, if we wanted to filter this to PP students, so it's very similar to what we did on the previous tab for our characteristics. We can add a filter on here and saying, well, let's just look at pupil premium students within this particular year group, and we can rename it to PP. And then we can do the same again, for instance, for our LAC students. So if we find our students in care, remove the pupil premium filter, there we go, and then we can rename that field in care. There we go. But let's say we actually want to add a filter now, a measure for looking at absences. So you have authorised and unauthorised absences. So we're going to go back to the roll call table, add a new measure, and this time we're going to use exactly the same measure, but we're just going to change which columns it's looking at. So I'm going to paste in this new measure called percentage authorised absence. Okay, so you can see this time that we're just using the column called is authorised absent. So is it an authorised absence code they're using? Everything else is exactly the same as it was before. Click enter, and then we're going to drop that onto the dashboard here and move it across. And we're going to again change it to a percentage and have one decimal place. There we go. And then we're going to do exactly the same thing again. And this time I'll show you how easy it is to change. I'm going to copy the authorised one and do a new measure. We're going to call it unauthorised. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to delete this part of the measure out. And you can see here it's giving me some other options for unauthorised absence. So we're going to click on that. And then we're going to hit enter again. And then we can drag and drop that onto the table instead. There we go. And once again, we're going to turn that into a percentage table. There we go. Oh, and we need to change that to 2 decimal places. There we go. So as easy as that, we've got a rough sort of dashboard with some headline data. But we might want to look at attendance over time. So if we have a look, if we create a chart here, and what we're going to do is we're going to add in the half terms to that chart. So we've got the half terms, and we're going to add in our attendance percentages. There we go, wrong way around. And there we go. And then we can sort the columns by the half term. And we'll sort them ascendingly. So we have them in order: autumn 1, 2, spring 1 and 2, summer 1 and 2. And we can also add on some date labels to those as well. So there we go. But we might also want to look at this by year group. So we're going to copy, we're going to use Control C, Control and V to copy that table. And we're going to take out a half term, and I'm actually going to add in the current year group from students. So we can add in the current year group, and then we have that instead with their percentage attendance on there. We can even add in attendance by month. So we're going to add in a line graph, and I always think these are quite powerful visuals to use. So we've got our line graph here. We're going to add in the month onto one axis, and we'll add in the percentage attendance on another. Oh, and we've used the wrong month there. We should use month name instead. There we go. And we can add on some date labels there too. So as you can see, very quickly, just using 3 different, or essentially the one DAX formula we've just changed ever so slightly, we can now see percentage attendance for the whole school, by each year group, and by term, and by month as well. You could even go as far as to do it by day of the week. So we can actually include a day name, and we could add attendance in. There we go. We can sort those. And then you've got your absence by day of the week. We could even add in the period. So whether it was morning or afternoon, Reg. Look at that. So as simple as that, we can create tables showing which month, which day of the week, and which morning and afternoon registration period is more popular, well, not more popular, but more frequently attended. We can see which months of the year, and we can see which terms as well. Now, one thing you would have noticed on this attendance by month is actually the months aren't in any particular order. At the moment, they're ordered by which month has the highest percentage, and if we try to order it by the month name, you'll see they just turn alphabetical. So it doesn't really help. So what we need to do is create a new measure that will be able to put these into the correct order. So in order to create this new column, we're going to make sure we click on Date Table. We are then going to click on New Column. We're going to paste a bit of DAX formula in here. So I've got the formula on another screen here. I'm just going to copy that in. There we go. So what this is essentially doing is an if then else formula. So it's saying that if the month is greater than or equal to 9, then -8 of it. So for example, September, if we -8 becomes month number 1, October becomes month number 2. And any other month, add 4 to it. So August, month number 8, add 4 to it, becomes month number 12. So we're just going to hit enter on that. So in order to use this new column, we're going to go to month name. We're going to click on that column name here, and you can see there's an option here called sort by column. So we're going to click down on that, and we're going to tell it to sort by the month sort column. And you should find that the table at the chart at the bottom here now changes to fit. So now we have September, October, November, December, January, February. They're all in order of the academic year now. So we can see that we had a slight dip towards November, it's gone back up, and a slight dip towards February, and then it's gone back up again. So the last bit of DAX formula we're going to look at today is on color coding. So let's say, for instance, you want to be able to color code these bars based on the percentage attendance. So you can see what's red, yellow, green. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our roll call attendance table, and we're going to add a new measure. And again, I have a measure already set up. So this one's like a switch formula, which looks very similar to an if then else. So what the switch column does is say, well, if the percentage attendance column is greater than or equal 0.96, so on here you don't use the percentage, you use it as a decimal number, turn it this color. So that's a hex code color. So you'd have to look up. You can Google search hex codes and you can pick a color that you like. This one I believe is green. If it's and then the next one says if it's greater than or equal to 0.91, turn it orange, and if it's any other number, turn it red. So we're going to put that formula in. So at the moment it doesn't do anything because we need to apply it. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on our table here on our chart, and we're going to go to the visualizations put out, and we're going to go to format your visual. And what we're looking is for the one that says columns. And you can see here, we've got an option to apply to all categories. So we could apply it just to one year group, or we could apply it to all of them. And in the color section, we're going to click on the little conditional formatting tool. So in here, you can set color coding based on a gradient. You can set your own rules as well. So if it's between a certain percentage, if you would. So if you wanted to, you could set it here. But we're actually going to use the field value. So when we search for here, we're going to search for that new column, the new measure we've just created, and we're going to say, right, that's what I want you to use as the measure for color coding. Click OK, and there we go. So no one's above our 96%, so it won't turn green. But again, you can come in here then and you can play around with these numbers. So we can reopen our formula and say, well, actually, let's make that 94%, and we'll see what happens. There we go. So two of them have turned green. And you can even change the lower one to say, well, if they're on 90% or greater, let's see if that makes sense. There's a few more that are now in the orange. So again, you can play around with that as much as you want, and you can even apply that to text. So we can click in the card here. We're going to format the visual, and if we look at the call out value, select the conditional formatting, find our measure, and click OK. That'll turn orange. And you can even do it with the background. You could do it with the name underneath. You can do all sorts of things. Just have a search around here. So even in the category label, we can turn the category label a different color. And I believe you can do the background color on it as well. So you could change that orange depending on the number. So let's try it on this one. We'll do the background color based on the value. There we go. So lots of options there for color coding. So I'm going to leave you there for today. So before next week's video, if you have an opportunity, log in, download some roll call attendance, and have a play. Make sure you connect your tables together and your relationship, the model view table, the relationship tables. So make sure you put those relationships in and connect your data up, and then you can start building. So I will see you again next time.